This week, I climbed more than double what I had planned. I got smoked, like completely obliterated by folks like this guy. Oh, and this cyclist too. And many, many more before and after them. But this week also taught me one pretty important rule about Gran Fondo training, which is a plan is just a plan, and you've got to know when to stick with it and when you can throw it out. Hey everyone, I'm Ria. I'm a novice recreational rider that's training for the biggest ride of her life. I'm done with week 2 out of a 20-week training plan. So week 2 is done, 18 more to go. And if week 1 was all about building habits, getting some consistency in, increasing my time on the saddle, and trying to hone ChatGPT as a coach, like cultivate it as a coach, then this week was just, it was, I guess you could just say we really, really leveled up pretty quickly. So leveling up was not really the plan. Progressive overload was the plan. ChatGPT had suggested that I do 500 to 600 meters of elevation across the week. So last week I hit about 400 to 500 across the sessions. So this week was supposed to be 500 to 600, but I ended up hitting about 1200. And surprisingly, we agreed it was fine. So me and coach GPT. And here's why. So I got invited by a fellow Calgarian to a group ride, an event called Climb a Kilo, where across, I think, 55 kilometers, you do about 1,000 meters of elevation. So a good deal of climbing. So since climbing is going to be such a critical part of my entire plan, because so much of the Whistler Gran Fondo is relentless climbs, not a lot of downhills or descents to sort of ease the pain and allow you to recover very well. So it was a matter of time that I would have to hit this volume of climbing in a week anyway. But ChatGPT okayed the idea of doing it this week because it's not every day that you get a chance to ride with cyclists that are so much better than you. So what we ended up doing was basically tweaking the other sessions throughout the week. So going ahead with the Climb a Kilo ride, but making sure that before the ride and after the ride, so both bookends, was all about rest and recovery. So I think that's really important, is to not to see a plan as a sort of handcuff, and be a little bit more intuitive and not let go of good opportunities to bring in sessions that could help in the long run. Plus, I think one of the biggest pros of doing a social, not a social, I'm going to say a group ride like this one, is you get so humble. Like, it's such a great dose of humility that you get, because there are folks out there that have been doing this for years, for decades. Like, I'm sitting here talking in days, weeks, and months. I'm like, oh, I'm done with week 2. There are people out there who have been doing this for 2, 3, 4 decades. There were people in the group that were ex pros. I think there was one ex Olympian in the group. So that's just legendary. And someone who just came back from having done the Boston Marathon, and they were treating this ride as a recovery ride. So that's that's how amazing this group was that I was riding with. Just so talented, such great athletes, probably put in years of discipline and focus, and got to where they're at right now. So that was definitely worth tweaking my plan to be able to do this. Anyway, so that was the Climb a Kilo event. And this week, the rest of the sessions, we started with a rest day because the last session in the last week was pretty intense, the VO2 max training session. Then we had hill repeats, 3 tiny little hills. I think there were maybe 80 to 100 meters each, so not very much climbing, but it just acted as a little session to let the legs and body sort of know that a big hill climb day is coming up and get prepped for that. And then we had an easy 18-kilometer zone 2 sort of ride, so endurance focused, not high intensity, but still managing to get some kilometers in. We followed that with our first drill for this week, so a new session which was a cadence drill. So this was a gradual build through a warm up, followed by like alternating between easy and like fast and slow cadences. So playing around with the resistance so that the legs get used to revolving at different speeds. Then we had the critical mass, right? Critical mass is like an international phenomenon. It's um, a, a social ride that happens in over, I think, 300 cities across the globe, where cyclists on all kinds of bikes and all kinds of skill levels get out onto the streets and sort of take over the streets for an hour or so. So it's a very social ride, happens every last Friday of the month, and it's very easy. So I think it was we were maybe going at like a 12, 13, 14 kilometer per hour sort of speed, which for me is like zone one. It's just cruising. So yeah, this was another sort of active recovery day. So apart from the hill session and the cadence drills, it was all rest and recovery, because of the big Climb a Kilo event that was gonna happen. So after the critical mass ride, we had Climb a Kilo, which was the 55 kilometers and 1,000 meters of elevation through beautiful, beautiful, scenic rural countryside, which is like literally right outside of the city of Calgary. So very close to home, in my backyard, and I didn't even know it existed. So I'm gonna definitely be there soon. And the last day, day seven, was an all rest day. So yeah, if you're also training for a Gran Fondo, if you're training for this RBC Gran Fondo Whistler, I think one of the big things to take away from this video is to stay flexible. Um, Follow your plan as much as you can, and if it has to change, it has to change. But what is more important, I think, are two things: is don't lose out on opportunities that may really help in the long run, and listen to your body. Um, if you're really feeling fatigued or overloaded, make the tweaks, make the adjustments that you have to make. If you're feeling constantly fresh and ready to go, then maybe the sessions are not intense enough. But yeah, try to be intuitive about finding a good balance, because this is a long, long journey. 20 weeks is a decent amount of time to have to keep yourself motivated and healthy, injury free, and energized enough to keep going. That was it for this week, and I will see you next week. Ride safe.